guys, welcome back to another video. We have a lot of news to get into, but let's start off here with some news for the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. We have this news here from Reuters talking about Microsoft filing their official response to the remedies to the European Union. What they are going to be offering, they're going to be entering into binding agreements now with this submission for this deal, if this deal does get approved and if it gets passed. Now, here is the article says Microsoft offers e-remedy seeking okay on the Activision deal. So there's two big things here that we see from this submission. First of all, the decision date has now been pushed all the way to the end of May. Previously, it was, I think it was April 25th or April 26th. And now it says that they have to make their decision by May 22nd. So that just moves the timeline down a little bit, but still seemingly on track for that end of June timeline that a lot of people have said from the beginning of this entire thing, that the final decisions will be made and we will know whether this deal is approved or not. I mean, it may not meet that deadline because it could potentially go all the way to August with that trial with the FTC if they don't come to some sort of settlement before that. But as of right now, even though this decision is pushed to May 22nd, still on track for what a lot of analysts have predicted from the beginning of this process. Now, secondly, from what we understand from these remedy filings is that it is solely for console or solely for cloud gaming, I should say. It doesn't include remedies for the console side of things, which if you're Sony and you're seeing this, you're looking at this, everything that you've been doing probably feels like it is now coming against you. It is now backfiring because it seems like Microsoft is only offering remedies right now to ease the EU's concerns with cloud gaming going forward. As we know, cloud gaming is a nascent market. It is growing, and this deal is going to make Xbox, who's already the dominant player in cloud gaming, I would say, even stronger. And we know that they've already offered Call of Duty and the Activision catalog onto multiple different cloud gaming services to ease those concerns from the European Union. So we'll see what they say. Now, there is a spokesperson for Microsoft that commented on this, and they say, "We have stood behind our promise to bring Call of Duty to more gamers on more devices by entering into agreements to bring the game to the Nintendo console and cloud game streaming services offered by Nvidia, Boosteroid, and Ubitus. We are now backing up that promise with binding commitments to the European Commission, which will ensure that this deal benefits gamers in the future." So that's what they are saying about this. And we've seen, I mean, we can go through all of the playlists I have for the Activision Blizzard stuff. I read through Sony's responses. I read through Microsoft's responses, all of the things that they have said for this deal and why Microsoft doesn't believe it's anti-competitive, what they're going to be doing to make sure that they provide access to Activision games and specifically Call of Duty going forward for at least the next 10 years, not only on other consoles, which they said they would do for PlayStation, but they haven't signed the deal yet. But other than that, on other subscription and cloud gaming devices and cloud gaming services. Then we see what Sony has been saying, trying to block this deal, which, I mean, they will do anything and are trying to do anything to make sure that this deal doesn't go through. Specifically, if you remember that quote from Jim Ryan that Luluche Meserve put out there on Twitter, that he said doesn't want a deal for Call of Duty. All he wants to do is block the merger. Now, again, Sony's looking at this probably and thinking they've submitted their remedies and we haven't signed a 10-year deal. If this deal does go through, if there's nothing in there about consoles, hey, Microsoft will have all the rights without any, I guess, pushback from these regulators to not put Call of Duty on PlayStation. And if that is to occur at the end of the day, I don't think it will occur, first of all. I think even if this deal goes through, I think they will still put it on PlayStation. But if it does occur, Sony, and PlayStation, and Jim Ryan have nobody to blame but themselves. And I feel like Jim Ryan is going to be in a world of hurt for his position there at Sony. But we will see. This, I mean, the deal may not go through. It may still get blocked, but this is where we are right now with the EU stuff. And then I'm sure you can expect the CMA official agreements that Microsoft is going to send in for the remedies that they are proposing to be submitted sometime in the future. But now, again, that date has been pushed to May 22nd for the European Union to be able to decide whether they approve or deny this deal. Now, moving over here to another interesting piece of news, and this is for PlayStation, and this is NFT patent. Now, last year, we saw the introduction of PlayStation Stars, which is the rewards program, essentially a copy of the Microsoft reward stuff that is on Xbox, which is a great program. I have so many points on the Xbox from Microsoft Rewards. I can get tons of free stuff, so much free Game Pass, all those things. It's a great thing just to play games and you get all of these reward points. And PlayStation copied that, which again is a good program too. I'm happy that they did copy it and they did bring it to PlayStation just recently with my PSVR 2, which I've been playing and purchasing a few games on that. I've been getting points from PlayStation Stars. Now, yes, they copied them, but that's what competition does. When you see your competitor doing something that's good for the consumer, the consumers are liking, then the competition goes in and tries to create something better or at least on par with what is already out there, which is why we talk about Activision Blizzard. The deal going through is going to create more competition and push PlayStation to do more things and improve their platform even more so than what it currently is. But now we see this patent here for NFTs. And this is a patent that was filed last year, published on Thursday. And here is what the patent is. As recognized herein, in some applications such as computer, video games, an NFT might represent the artwork or an asset in the game, such as a character or weapon or other game asset, but current systems are technologically inadequate for the owner to use the asset across different games and platforms. Accordingly, as further recognized herein, the functionality of the game may be enhanced by enabling gamers and or spectators to exclusively use the asset and possibly transfer its rights to others via NFT. So this is specifically NFT, which isn't what PlayStation Stars is, which they completely denied because people had thought when they launched PlayStation Stars last year that this was an NFT program, but they came out to the media and said it's absolutely not NFTs. But that didn't mean that they didn't have NFTs in mind going forward, which we can see here from this patent. And they talk about some other things. They talk about ways that this potentially is going to be able to be used, where you're actually going to be able to transfer these NFTs to others and they can be sold to others for values or exchange. They give some more examples here about how it can be used in game. So for example, the right to use hunter damage weapons in other games per your new NFT. As yet another example, an NFT representing reaching a certain level, score, and or points accumulation in a particular video game may be minted. And finally, the NFT may then be transferred to someone else who may then resume the game where the transfer or left off according to the NFT so that the transferee begins gameplay at the same level with the same score and or with the same points accumulation as the transfer. So it's absolutely NFTs. Obviously, it has NFT in the name. And although PlayStation did last year said that they were denying wanting to use it because there's been a lot of pushback against NFTs, they clearly are looking into NFTs into some form or another. But here's the thing. Personally, I'm not for NFTs into games. I'm not for bringing into crypto and the blockchain, all that stuff into video games. I'm just maybe too old school. I sort of understand it, but it's just not something I'm interested in whatsoever. However, when I read this patent, there are some cool things that I think would be a good thing for the future of video games that I don't even think you would need NFT technology to do. I just think that utilizing some of the things that they're mentioning here just with digital assets would be awesome to see going forward. And mainly it is the fact that you're going to be able to sell digital assets that you have purchased to other people, which if we're going into a world of gaming that is just completely digital, the amount of stuff people probably have bought via DLC, battle passes, all of these things that they've earned within games, spending exorbitant amounts of money that they'll never see the value of it. If for a lot of people, they just kind of buy these things and then they don't see the value of it. They don't use it enough to be able to get its full worth. They could go out there and list some of these digital things that they've purchased on a marketplace and then maybe make some of their money back, similar to how used games work, obviously with the physical versions of games, which these companies hate because they don't see dimes from the sales of used games. But if you think about PlayStation, you think about Xbox, you think about Nintendo, if they created a digital marketplace where items that you've purchased in-game can be put up on that marketplace and other people in the network, you obviously probably would have to be subscribed to Xbox Live or Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus and Nintendo Switch Online, but you can go in there and you can see some of these digital assets that people have put up on the marketplace and then make them an offer. You can make some of that money back, and these companies would keep you in their ecosystem, which I'm sure they would be all for, and I'm sure they would make a little bit of profit off of reselling some of these digital assets. So I think at the end of the day, that would be a use case that would be interesting to see if it made sense and how it would work within these video game platforms. All right, moving on here to an exciting piece of news. It may not be for everybody, but for me, I'm pretty excited to see this. And it is Hyperkin bringing back the Xbox 360 controller for the Xbox Series XX, Xbox One, and the Windows PC. Previously, they've already done this with the original Duke controller. I actually have that. I love it. I love the original 2 controller on the OG Xbox, but I love what they did here as well from Hypercane, especially with the center button there being the OG Xbox load screen. Is super cool. I just like the ergonomics because I have bigger hands. And 360 controller was that next step in the evolution of the Xbox controller for a lot of people, maybe one of their favorite controllers of all time. I think overall Xbox, as they've progressed with the Xbox One and then the Xbox Series, they've just made minor tweaks and they've really perfected the ergonomics. And I think by far it is the best feeling controller out there. And they had announced earlier this year the Xenon, which was going to be the 360 replica to be able to use on the current Xboxes. And now we have the official release date, which is going to be June 6th, and it's only going to be $50. And pre-orders are going to be May 5th. And here are the features. It's going to have menu, a view, and share buttons, which, I mean, I didn't think how much I would enjoy this share button, which was pretty much the only addition besides small tweaks to the ergonomics to the Xbox Series controllers, but I use that button all the time. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, USB-C impulse triggers, and multiple colors. So that's pretty cool to bring in the impulse triggers that obviously weren't there on the 360 controller. And you're going to see all the colors you can get this in. Just, I'm excited for this because I loved what they did with the Duke, and I'm going to be picking up this controller when they do release it. I will probably just go with that OG white 360 controller with the gray buttons, just iconic. But here are the dates, in case you guys are looking for it. May 5th for pre-orders, June 6th will be the release. So keep your eyes open for that. And then we will move on here to talk about Resident Evil 4. This game is just around the corner. Very excited. I have a collector's edition on pre-order. I can't wait. I've played the demo. Loved the original. And from what we saw from the demo, this isn't surprising, but the reviews are out. It's getting 9s and 10s across the board. It's going to be another one of those games that's up for a Game of the Year nomination or just many awards at the end of the year. I mean, 2023 already has been absolutely insane with the incredible amount of games that have come out. And it's just the beginning. You think about what's coming out later on throughout the year. There's just too many games this year so far, but the reviews are very good. But one of the things I do want to talk about is this. Digital Foundry put out their analysis of the demo. Now, again, it's just the demo, so many things can change between a demo and then the official release. I'm sure Capcom is continuously working on this to get it in the best state possible for the official release date. But we saw earlier on last week, just like a lot of banter going on social media, and that banter had to do with the PlayStation 5 version running better than the Xbox version, and Xbox people were upset because, I mean, the Series X objectively on paper, you look at the hardware, you look at everything inside the Series X, is a better console than the PlayStation 5. It just is. I know people like to come up with all these different reasonings to try to slice and dice why PS5 is better. It isn't. The Xbox Series X has better hardware than the PlayStation 5. And you would expect all third-party games to run better on the Xbox Series X. That just hasn't been the case. It's not like it's always PS5. It definitely is hit and miss sometimes. Sometimes it runs better on the Series X. Sometimes it runs better on the PlayStation 5. That's just the way it goes. But right now, in the beginning of 2023, we've seen a lot of comparisons, and games have been getting a little bit better performance on the PlayStation 5. And it looked like that was going to be the case again with Resident Evil 4 Remake, as LA and Alicia the Bits put out their video, and it showed PS5 getting slightly better frames, like 5 to 10 FPS better than the Series X. Now, as a consumer, you're really going to notice that? Probably not. Like, you're probably going to have this essentially the same experience no matter where you decide to play it. But if you're pixel counting and you're really interested in this type of stuff, probably does annoy you. But Digital Foundry had a different analysis. And the analysis was that the game pretty much overall is better on the Xbox Series X from everything that they looked at. And mainly the image quality. There is actually a decent difference in the image quality on the PS5 version of this game versus the Xbox Series X version of this game, especially when you zoom in, you look at some of the different textures in the vegetation, on the walls, all that type of stuff. The image quality is significantly crisper on the Series X, and it is also running at a higher resolution in the performance mode. So what they were able to determine, although they do say it isn't perfect because there's a lot of dark edges, but what they were able to determine was that in performance mode, the PS5 is running at 1440p and the Series X is running between 1720p and 1800p, which would go to show you that's where that more powerful GPU comes in. And maybe that's why in some of these videos, you're seeing maybe 5 FPS less in certain sections of this game because it is running at a higher resolution. And without a doubt, if you were to take that resolution down to the PS5 version, there'd probably be zero stutters at all. Another place where the Series X did better in was with ray tracing. Again, another more proof that the GPU within the Series X is better. Now, going forward throughout this generation, this may continue to happen where I think at the end of the day, it's how the developers are optimizing these games for these different platforms, which will determine where the game is running slightly better. If they're spending more time optimizing it on PS5, it'll probably run better on PS5. If they're spending more time optimizing it on the Series X, probably run better on the Series X. But what I'm hoping for in the next couple, maybe by the end of this year, that developers start utilizing the RDNA 2 stuff within the Series X and start utilizing some of the features that obviously would help games just run better with reducing some of the load on the GPU while being able to stick with high resolutions and higher frame rates. And that will definitely alleviate a lot of the issues with FPS drops going forward. But definitely go watch the Digital Foundry video if you want the entire breakdown of what they do come up with. But at the end of the day, what they're saying based off of this demo, the Series X is the better looking game and has a higher resolution than the PlayStation 5. And finally, we have some information here about Starfield, and it's because of a rating that has come out in Australia. Particularly, it has been rated restricted for drug use. So we know that there is going to be drug use, but we also know what won't be in this game. So it says here, it's time to cancel your pre-orders. Obviously a joke. There are no alien sex scenes in Starfield. It was confirmed recently that the Australian government had rated Starfield restricted for a high impact interactive drug use, but while doing so, it confirmed a string of other things about the game, provided the ratings are accurate, of course. For instance, the classification board confirmed that there will be no sex whatsoever, very mild nudity, and strong and impactful violence. There will also be a fair amount of bad language and some moderately impactful themes in the game. So if you're looking for those alien sex scenes, you're not going to be getting that in Starfield. I'm absolutely okay with that. I like how it is rated restricted. I mean, that's cool. It's a mature game. I like how it talks about that there is strong and impactful violence, because I mean, that's always fun within video games. But it's a little bit more information that we do have on Starfield. We'll obviously see what like the ESRB rating is and all those things further on when the other boards do rate Starfield. But that's it for me, guys. I'm going to leave the video there. Let me know what you think about all of the stuff from the Activision Blizzard stuff to the PlayStation NFT, Resident Evil. What do you think about the game? What do you think about the graphics? Are you excited for this game? And where are you going to be playing it? Are you going to be picking up the Hyperkin 360 replica and the Starfield rating? I'd love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, hit that subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.